Aloha Kauai, mahalo nui loa, and thank you for joining us this week in yet another exciting and informative episode of Vala'au. I'm Diki Chang. Speaking of exciting and informative, we, Vala'au, had the opportunity to drive and get all the way to the very, very end of the road. As we know, after the historic floods, Hanalei town and just past that, the town itself, by the historic Christian church, the road has been closed since the rain of the weekend of April 13th, 14th, and 15th. That, of course, was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We had an opportunity to get out to the very, very end of the road. But more importantly, we want to let the community know, effective May 1st, that's next week, Wednesday, the public can go to the end of the road. Why should you go to the end of the road? More importantly, why shouldn't you go to the end of the road? We had an opportunity to speak to Louise Sausen. We also had an opportunity to speak to North Shore resident Keli Alapai, and our hostess for the evening, Councilwoman, the hostess for the day, I should say, Councilwoman Felicia Cowden. We were able to recap that historic flooding, some of the roadblocks itself, some of the landslides, but most importantly, why we should not go and drive to the end of the road. Basically speaking, it's not ready, but guess what? Let's hear it from Councilwoman and North Shore resident Felicia Cowden.
Well, first of all, I want to say I have a lot of gratitude for the fact that the government was able to give us the $60 million to fix the road. So I want to say thank you. Thank you to all the island that came out here to help us. But, I'm really glad that we're working on this film right now because, as you can see, the road isn't ready, right? It might be technically ready, but even on a good day with everything perfect, it's really very difficult to have a smooth flow of traffic in one direction or the other, and so I think it's kind of difficult right now. I don't think the community's quite ready. So I appreciate that, people on the rest of the island and people on vacation are going to be very judicious about coming out here and knowing that it's better to come if they have a purpose. Maybe they're visiting somebody who has a restroom they can use, that because there really isn't the services out here. I think it's also really important that we're able to let our visitors know that they can't make it out to go snorkeling here because there's no place to park. They can't hike the trails. Most of what they're going to be looking for really isn't ready yet.
It almost seems like to me that you've waited a year. Why can't we wait another 2, 3, 4 months just to get everything in place?
Well, that's an excellent question, and the best that I'm aware, and we are double checking, doing our extra strong homework on it, but this money, we've extended our emergency proclamation out over a year, and this money that the state was generous enough to allocate, they allocated $100 million to Kauai for our flood relief. And I will say, thank goodness that our flood happened ahead of the lava flow on the Big Island, because for Hawaii Island, they're contending with a really serious disaster as well. So while there was money sitting in an emergency pot, if we didn't have that emergency funding available, we couldn't have done this. And so this is our way to make sure that we're able to repay it for others.
Now, is there any sort of a technicality, like the federal government kicks in or the state kicks in money and funding? Was there a deadline that, okay, look, we'll give you the money, you got to finish this by this? Is there political or lawful pressure to actually open up?
My understanding is yes. And we talked to Senator Brian Schatz, and we're going to just check if there is any wiggle room whatsoever on that. But we recognize how important it is that if there's this collection of money that's available to be helping communities in disaster, and I don't just mean on Kauai, this is Oahu, Maui, any of the other islands, if they have a problem, we need to be able to back them up like we were backed up. So that's the pressure point, is that funding.
We always talk about the parking and everybody blames everybody, and whether you want to blame the local people, the tourists. I mean, the tourists always gets pulled in, win, lose, or draw. But in the old days, I remember people, yes, parked almost everywhere. It was, I believe, a $37 ticket. Now they want to raise the ticket as to encourage not parking anywhere to $200. But you and I, when we were walking out here, literally walking to the end of the road, we were looking at these no parking signs, and that could be something that would be a tremendous bummer, because almost everywhere you look, it's signage that's really taking away the natural beauty of this island. Crazy.
Right, and when it says, $200 first offense, I don't think people even necessarily think about how many offenses it takes to get a certain amount, but it is not very aloha. And, it's a lot to go after that. And if we were bringing tow trucks out, that's a big pressure on the parking and not just the parking, I mean the driving. So we, are respectfully asking people to be slow in how they return to here so that we can see that we can manage it. This was a major flood event, and this community is in trauma, and they are worried about what comes next. And I think that what we can see for a number of people, they have been deeply displaced from their houses, and for people with multi-generations in this community that don't identify with anywhere else that they can or are willing to go, I'm glad that the state has allowed them to live in the park. And so while our state park is still closed, it's also an emergency housing site. And it's really important that people are allowed their space and that we keep it safe.
And Councilmember Felicia Cowden, you are a North Shore resident. You've probably come here many, many, many times to survey. The laymen or people like us, whether we're local residents, whether we're tourists, we're state of Hawaii resident, a lot of people don't know what this place looked like. And you can still see, though we were not there, a lot of remnants of what happened a short 1 year ago.
With the flood, oh my goodness. All over the place, like what we've seen right here, where the end of the road out here, the beach, it has moved away a good, I'd look at that, I'd say 30 feet. And honestly, there were iwi kupuna, sacred burials, right in this area here. The lifeguard station had to move. Where we've had to replace the lifeguard station is right in the place that was the turnaround spot. And it was trees down, rocks all over. We have had a lot of trees fall off the cliffside, so there is a greater danger of rocks falling down in what has been the roadway. Right now, on a rainy day, when that rain is coming down on the road between Wainiha and Waikoko, it is just filled with waterfalls that's scary to be watching, because it's not like, oh, isn't that beautiful? It's like, oh my goodness, it's frightening, because it's flooding the roads. It looks like the hillside's going to come down.
I guess it's a better way to say it's a flash flood that just happens to be coming down the mountain versus a waterfall, because that's a heck of a lot of water that's come tumbling down, like tons and tons and tons per hour, really.
That's right. It is. It's like a flash flood coming down the mountainside. And if people were to look at this from the ocean, you'll see where there are patches. It reminds me of ding repair on a surfboard. It's like the road has got these places where the whole lane has fallen down the hillside, and so it's been patched. And now they're putting like a dark covering on it. But when it was white and you could just see the true patches, are big and significant patches. So the community out here, while they're really just grateful for how much help they're getting, they know that road is tenuous. And so it's nerve-wracking, I think, for the residents to think that they're going to be sharing it going in both directions.
Thank you to Felicia Cowden, Councilwoman Felicia Cowden. We'll get to hear, of course, more from North Shore resident Louise Sausen. But first, let's talk a little bit to our very dear friend from the North Shore, Keli, Alapai. And of course, we were able to park just on the outside of Limahuli National Tropical Botanical Garden, and we were able to work our way into Ke'e. But here's our very dear friend, Keli Alapai. Hey, what happened with Limahuli Gardens?
The very entrance of Limahuli Gardens, if you look at those walls that is on the side of the highway, you couldn't see a pohaku. It was all water. There's so much water they had coming down from this, and it even went into the hale that they have their offices in. So it came right across the road. It was unbelievable.
Directly behind us, we can see that the hale in the back, and we can see the valley that many of us are not familiar with. Was there like some major rock slides, or what? Do you know what happened up in the valley?
As far as in the back, in the reserve, from what I found out is, and the information that I got is the native plants. They have native plants that grow in the back there. They had some damage too from the stream, landslides, and all of that. But Even this holly, it's been repaired now. You know, it got damaged, and yeah, as far as the reserve goes, yeah, they had a lot of damages back there.
You know, we see we see the taro patches here. We see the terrace walls that make Limahuli so famous. It looks pretty much intact for the most part.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. You know, the Hawaiians, when they build a wall, you know, they make sure they build them solid, you know, and they didn't lose one rock, you know, and these rocks were here for generations and generations, and they're still here, you know. So yeah, they're still in the same place.
That's almost unexplainable. Like it's almost some kind of a mana or from Keakua or some of the ancestors honestly knew what needed to be protected and what kind of pilikia might need to be washed out.
Yeah, you know, Limahuli Valley. This valley is a special valley. I can remember when I was a young kid, at, 6 or 8 years old, rounding up cattle in here with my father, Sam Mahuiki, and nighttime and whatever. You would think you come out in a valley like this, you know, you get the spooks, you know. This place get plenty mana, you know, and it's a special valley. It's a special valley, that's for sure. Keakua.
So at 6 or 8 years old, or even now as an adult, sometimes get any heebie-jeebies, or you hear anybody talking to you, or did you ever hear somebody talking to you, or maybe giving you some wisdom that came out of the blues, or can you remember?
You know, for me, I didn't have any bad experience in this valley. I always used to go and travel with my grandmother, Rachel Mahuiki, and she did a lot of the blessings, and you know, whenever you had these bad stuff going on, you know. But she always told me, she said, you know, Keakua is the main source. You believe in him, nothing will humbug you.
Well, I was at home by myself because my family had gone out earlier to go surfing, and right after they got out was the first slide. That was a pretty gnarly storm, you know. It was centered just over us because the people in Kalalau said they could see it, but it didn't affect them, but they knew they needed to get out. And the lightning and thunder was like right out your window, and heavy rains, you know. So after the storm, I mean, I just had like a block-to-block area for a couple weeks because the roads were flooded, you know. But, you know, the community and everybody, we pulled together. You know, we took care of each other. And I'd like to say thanks for all the workers, for all what they've done. I wish the government could have worked a little better with us. And mahalo to everybody for your patience. It's not that we don't want anybody in here. It's just we want it safe for us. We'll make it safe for everybody.
You know, how long was it that you were reunited back with your family? Because you were there by yourself. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there were landslides. When was the last time you saw, how long did it take for you folks to be reunited, and how did that work?
Probably about a week, because the Laird and his group with Tommy Taylor, they're trying to work on a boat because there was, you know, no help. I don't understand how come the National Guard, you know, I had to beg for them to send a helicopter because Colony Resort, we're out of water. You know, their water was broken, no electricity, no contact to the outside world, and limited amount of foods. So by the time, you know, Saturday night, as a matter of fact, I was on the phone with Mel Raposo because he works nighttime in the hotel. So, you know, so he relayed a lot of our needs to the CEO of the, you know, emergency group there. But You know, it wasn't really followed. I begged for the National Guard to come and evacuate the people because by Tuesday, you need to get these people out. We have no food. We can't take care of them. You know, they're your people. For us, the people in here, we would think that they would respect us enough to at least give us the first few weeks of just residents and placards, because they're going to have flagmen. They can't stop nobody from coming in, but we can ask the visitors to please, if you could kindly wait, you know? But it's not going to work. They're in the convoy line already, waiting to come in because they want to go to the end of the road, you know? So, you know, with that, you know, it would have been really nice to just have the people. We got to live, we got to go to work. Everybody changed their schedules for work, and then now they switched it over, so, you know, it's screwed again. But, you know, if they would just let the residents and the convoy of the workers just until they get it done. You know, Limahuli and Manoa Street, they could have had that done already. Last year, when we had the guys and the people out of work, they had the energy, the chainsaw, the willpower to help clean along the sides of the road. Now they're rushing. You know, it could have been done already. You know, the road could have been open on May 1st, like, yay, safe for everybody. But it's not about the visitors. It's not about who we want, who we don't want. It's about the road safety and the AINA, you know.
Welcome back, Kauai. We are exploring the North Shore, and remember, the road has been closed since the weekend of April, Friday, the 13th, 14th, Saturday, and the 15th. Of course, the news is that the road is going to open up. It has to open up. Very confusing, but it has to open up because of federal laws, and of course, because the monies were given specifically for the flood. They're going to be opening up the roads, but we're here to tell you folks why we shouldn't go to the end of the road. Bottom line is, they're not ready to accept us as local residents as well as the visitors alike. So basically speaking, if you can just wait, hang loose, that's probably the best thing. Now, most of us all know about the majestic valleys of Hanalei. It is said that more than 80% of all the kalo, the taro, is grown here on our garden island of Kauai. The taro, or the fields, the lo'i, much of that, of course, was buried with water. We had an opportunity again to speak to North Shore resident and, of course, lo'i and taro farmer, Mr. Keli Alapai, and we asked him basically what happened with his family's lo'i there at the North Shore of Kauai.
As far as damages go, our lo'i's got covered by a lot of water. We had our holly down there that we keep our equipment under, got damaged. Our roads got damaged, yeah. But as far as the kalo goes, they stood strong. You know, again, you know, the water and the kalo, they adapt to each other over here, you know. And not too much damage that we had, but we had enough damage.
Now, you're a Kilauea resident. How long was it before you could actually come out here? I mean, how far out did you come here? How many rock slides or landslides did you have to come through to finally get out to where you're located right now?
During the storm, my son and I were trying to get on a barge to come down to help the families, and there was just so much going on, yeah. So we didn't get a chance to come in that day, so we came in that later part of the week.
You know, you get so much ohana, so much roots, so much family here, so when you finally was able to make it to over the Hanalei Bridge, albeit Saturday morning or Sunday morning or what have you, and you see like Haraguchi Farm, some of your ohana, your very dear friends, that everything literally was covered over with water. I mean, did you cry?
I had no words. I didn't see anything like this in my whole life growing up. This was the biggest that I ever saw, and yeah, I felt a lot of still there.
Still feel it, man.
Still feel them.
You know, also, Keli, you know, when people talk about the floods and everything else, you know, some people say the storm of the century or biblical, and there's one thing that you just said, I never see nothing like this in my life. And I always tell the visitors, When the local people tell you they never seen anything in their life, I said, trust me, because it never happened in generations.
Very true, very true. When something like this you never did see or experience, man, that's a wake up call, man. You cannot take Mother Nature for granted. When it's time, it's time. And yeah, they got to pay attention.
Yeah, there's a crisis. And another thing, like just on this one road here just past Wainiha Stream, they have taken many cars out, but there is, I think, a good 13, 15 more cars still sitting there waiting to get towed out. It's a big task to bring those cars out. In this whole area here, a lot of cars were knocked into the river, knocked into the ocean. They might look really beat up while they're sitting on the side of the road, but that's because they're flood victims. And those cars were casualties of the flood. So they keep having in the process of pulling them out. And it's more bringing it out. And so you're going to see continuously more rocks, more trees, more different elements being taken out on this narrow road. Because as you were mentioning about Limuhuli, up these different valleys, we have a lot of felled trees, and we do have to move them out because the next time we get a really big flood, we're going to take that risk of those trees coming down and hitting houses. That happened last time, and it does a lot of damage, and it also creates dams on the river till when it eventually bursts, it's another very difficult dynamic. So the priority is continuing to create the healing and the repairs that are needed out here, and the road is most probably going to have to be opened so that that money is available for the next community that needs it. We have to think of the others besides just ourselves out here, but we are hoping that we have the support of the visitor industry and the residents to still stay very light touch out here till we've got it cleaned up.
Oh, one big important thing. If you're going to come to Hawaii, but if you're going to come out to the North Shore and swim anywhere in these waters, please use the right sunscreen, because right now it's so pristine. Everything's coming back. The fish, everything, wildlife. Right here, I believe it was a hawksbill turtle came up and nest. How many years has it been since that happened? And speaking about the storm, Kupuna takes care of us, and it just got too much where it was, 5,000 cars a day, but 10,000 plus people a day. 98% of the people that parked at the end of the road went down the Pali Coast. And the government had no clue of who and what. There's no restrooms down there, so where's that happening?
If you just joined us, I'm here with Keli Alapai, and we just want to say mahalo to you, your ohana, for taking the time to speak to us on Vala'au and educating our viewing audience. One thing that many of your ohana and your family knows, you're a fisherman, you're a throw net fisherman. But can you tell us, perhaps, there is talk about, wow, this one year was kind of like a blessing to let things replenish itself. Can you tell us about the conditions of the beach, or perhaps the reef, or the mammal or the fish life?
Yeah, before this flood happened, and we had this tourist impact on our area here down in the North Shore. Before, we used to see the crabs on the sand. They used to build their mounds, and you would see them for miles, stretch and stretch. All of a sudden they disappeared because of the impact that we've been having. And with this rest here that we have now, we have had, they're all coming back. So if you walk down to the beach now and you look down on the sand, you see all the crab holes, all the mounds. That's a good sign. The resources are coming back.
So the lack of footprints, the lack of trampling, and I would imagine, people have talked about the replenishment of the limu or the reef. I could just imagine, we're not going to tell the secret, but maybe get more opihi and stuff going on. And really something that's a lot of people sensitive to is the suntan lotion or the sunscreen now, we got to be careful because it's proven that they do kill the reefs, and then you can see the growth on the reef.
Oh, guarantee. Yeah, yeah. So I'm going to give you one example, yeah. Our kalo fields, when this storm happened, the taro in that kalo field fed our people from all this side. Whoever needed, my nephew went to cook the taro, deliver to the kupunas, and whoever. Same as the fishing. We get family fishermen, you know, and when the fish is coming back again too, you know. So the impact on the area was really, really out of this world. It was, I mean, it was doing so much damage that if you know, like we're in tune with our resources, with the Aina, we could see that going. We could see that going. And I'm glad that the community came forward and put their feet down. You know, we got to take care of our place.
And you know what? This is a perfect time of cleansing, if you will, but more importantly, this is a perfect time to educate, because I don't think anybody wants to do anything wrong. Everybody wants to be pono, and everybody wants to adhere to what the native beliefs and the native customs are. We just need to be taught, and people just need to be taught, because I think for most people, in general, they want to be good, they want to be kind, and they want to be respectful to the local culture.
Yeah, you know, Dickie, that's one thing, yeah. When you come down to Haiena, everybody loves to come down to Haiena. It's a beautiful place. But when you come down here, you come down here, you want to go fish, whatever you want to do. Simple things that we were taught in life. Take what you need, malamada place, and you know what? You take care of each other, you know. But you got to take care of Aina too. You got to take care of the ocean. From Mauka to Makai. Take what you need. That's it. If the thing is closed, don't touch it. Let it replenish. You know. So all what we're doing here in Haiena, it's not for us. It's for the generations to come. We're trying to do something, you know, and keep it going. So the younger ones going to have something.
And oh, hey, here's another thing that's important. As we're out here, we have seen an amazing return of some of the animals in the water. That's been really great. We've had hawksbill turtles nesting on the beach. That's almost unheard of. We've had more seals and turtles and more fish returning. It's been a really interesting example to see the recovery. I believe that the Nepali, like I haven't gone down the Nepali. Have I wanted to? Absolutely. But I know that I'm not that strong. I'm not that capable to be effective as a body out there cleaning up the trail. So I haven't gone. The trail is getting worked on, but my understanding is that there's been tremendous recovery of the natural fauna in the area and plants, flora and fauna.
Welcome back, Kauai. Of course, as we all know by now, we hear a lot of reports and we hear a lot of different things, but remember, I guess it's a federal law because they gave monies upwards to over $60 million for flood relief, but the roads will open next week, Wednesday, May 1st. Now, we had an opportunity again to speak to North Shore residents Louise Sausen. We also had an opportunity to speak to Keli, Alapai, and of course, our hostess for the day, Councilwoman and North Shore resident Felicia Cowden. Now, the roads are going to be open, but we are here, and I am here specifically from what we learned and what we gathered, is there really is no reason that, unless you're niele or inquisitive, to go out to the North Shore, because first of all, there's no place to park. Secondly, if you get cited, you're gonna get a $200 ticket. We don't want that to happen. No place whatsoever to park, but more importantly, the turnaround at Ke'e, much of the pavement actually fell into the ocean. That's all flood wave related, kind of like a little bit of a collapse. But also the Ke'e, the Ke'e Trail leading up to Hanakapiai as well as Kalalau Valley, that is closed. So you cannot hike, you cannot park, the facilities is not open. So we'd recommend, if you're just going to check it out, wait. We've already waited over a year. Just be patient, wait till everything can open up effectively and efficiently. If you just want to go to a beach, believe me, there's so many beaches on this island of Kauai. No sense get to the North Shore because you can't park anywhere. Facilities aren't open, and of course the beach park Haena, that is not available for you folks to go there. Of course you can, but we have a lot of residents that are making it their temporary homes there, so let them just chill out, be alone. That's just my recommendation, and let's let it heal and reopen. Here are some of the reasons why we would recommend that you not drive out, even though the road will be open, to the North Shore of Kauai. You mentioned United States Senator Brian Schatz. I want to say thank you on behalf of the County of Kauai. I do want to give a little kudos to your friend and mine, Senate President Ron Kochi.
And Nadine Nakamura. And then I just want to also just put out as deep a gratitude as I can to all the other residents on the island who put their lives on hold, who came out here. In fact, I would say the catalytic reason that I ran for office was just this deep moving of seeing how beautiful of an island that we live on in terms of the human spirit, in terms of the capacity and how much we are able to really come together and work when we're needed and be there for each other. And I want to be there for all of the community.
You know, very well said, because when we think about the churches that were flooded and all the people that didn't even need to say, hey, you need any help, they just showed up, what can I do? But when you mentioned this whole entire island, aloha out to many of your friends and ohana out there that were from the west side and said, look, if we can't drive out to the North Shore, guess what? Out from Kikiola Harbor,
Yes.
I mean, all from the west side, they said, you know what, let's load up. Many people took their own days off, filled up their own gas tanks. Private tour boat companies came out, and they came out over here in droves with water.
Filled with abundance. So much aloha. I just thank everybody so much for how much came out all over the place. Just so much gifting. It was truly, truly beautiful. And so I do support that we need to have that money back in the cash so that we can return that favor, whether it's to another island or to another element on this island, for the help.
So what we're trying to do as the community is to, because we all believe this is our sacred place. It is a sacred place, so we should treat it that way. You know, it's a vahipana. So what we're trying to get in place before the road opens is visitor shuttle and limited parking. So all the visitors need to get on the internet and make their reservations. If there's, the earlier you do it, the better chances to get a parking, you know? So make your reservations. If you're coming to Kauai, make your hiking reservations, your shuttle reservations, everything before you come. That way you can have your airlines and hotel set for you, you know? And we'd really appreciate if you see where we're coming from, use the shuttles, you know? There's going to be no more of the parking on the side of the road because everybody said, hey, we'll pay the fine. They pay more parking to go to their beaches than the fine was for a parking ticket, $37. They don't care, you know? So it's going to be a lot higher. And if you come in from May 1st, remember, the parks are all closed. There's no bathrooms. There's no parking, even along Kipuhi and stuff. There's no parking, okay? If you park on the side of the road, you could get a ticket, or your car could get towed, you know? So, and then if you traverse into the park, there's another fine because the parks are closed. So there will be another fine. So, you know, if you want to just be a looky-loo, you may be sitting in traffic because they'll have flagmen. So you may be sitting in traffic. It may get gridlock, and you'll be there sitting for a while.
I think, especially for people who live here, we've got another years to be able to come out here. We can come out a little bit later. It's definitely going to be a lot easier on the area if people don't race out here as soon as they're able to do it. And I think for businesses that are used to sending people out here, please don't. Don't encourage it because it's very discouraging for the guests. We can tell that the helicopters are still coming, so when people want to be able to see the Nepali, they can see it that way. They can see it on the boats. There's other ways to be able to see it. There are other places to hike. We've got a beautiful island. There are other beaches. And, it's just going to be a real, interesting time window, and that we respectfully ask people if they can give us a little bit of time.
You're on the main road. You're very visible. Everybody's alohaing each other in terms of those that supposed to be out here or those that are helping. Very soon the roads are going to be reopened. Many people think the timing not be right. Some people are just inquisitive or what have you. But you have any feelings or emotions or thoughts about, as far as you guys will be right on the main road when people are either being niele or, what is your feeling with the opening of the road?
For me, for my feeling, for speaking for myself, I don't think they should open a road. If they're going to open a road, open the road on the open date, which they said would be June 4th. Construction companies are still working, and you talk about safety. That's one issue there. The state talking about safety. It's unsafe to have cars, and the tourists come in. The parks are all closed. What they're gonna see? There's nothing open. The infrastructures are not done. It's so unsafe out there. You get the tourists come in, niele is the word, and my feelings is they shouldn't open a road.
And that's one of the reasons that we came out here with Councilwoman Felicia Cowden, because we wanted to give the viewing audience, I'm a supporter of the visitor industry, but I'm one that's going to say, look, we're not ready, why rush it? And more importantly, something that you say that everybody talks about is safety. To me, the safety factor really is you guys that are right on the side of the road, and everybody, inquiring minds are looking to the left, looking to the right, but they're not looking ahead of the people that are actually working right on the side of the road.
Yeah, exactly. These construction workers, you running equipment and you into your work, you working, and you get people come from behind and something's easy to happen, accidents, and that's a safety part, They don't belong there. They don't belong there.
Share aloha to your brothers and sisters, many of whom are unsung heroes over here that's working under hazardous conditions, rain, sun, all this. You go back and forth and you see these people, the hard hats, and you guys probably get to meet one another. But
Yeah.
give your aloha on behalf of all of us, that we need to share our aloha to them.
Well, for all the people that did work through this hard year that we had, all the construction workers, the companies, big mahalos, Yeah, we all make mistakes. We're all not perfect people, but we need to understand, because that's the only way we're gonna take our place. We cannot get this kind of pilikia. The people are here to do the work. Let them do the work. The government is another issue, but our place, we gotta think about the aina first. So mahalo to everybody who had put their feet and hands and hard sweat hours in whatever they did. Shuttling people in, bringing food in, everybody. Big mahalo.
And we're only 2 weeks away, actually less than 2 weeks away from the opening date, the scheduled opening date. And you can see how much impact it is with the road repair crew. And if I can take the moment to say thank you so much to road repair crew. People have done things that is really life-threatening. These machines have been, at a 45-degree angle off that hillside. They're up there with bungees. They look like they're cliff climbers as they're trying to put those 40 and 60-foot soil nails into the cliffside and pin them down well. It is still very much in recovery, and it's very much just got fixed. So we don't know. We like to think that this is going to work just fine, but it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of care as we open it.
Welcome back, Kauai. We hope that you can learn a little bit about the reasons, although the road will be open, why we really don't need now to get to the very, very end of the road. Now, I just want to let everybody know, the old Christian church is where the turnaround point used to be. That is about as far as I would go. I wouldn't advise our visitors. I wouldn't take our visitors. I personally would not go out until they're full on ready. That meaning we got a place to park legally. The facilities will be open. The hiking trails will be open. So for right now, you don't have to go to the end of the road, but I can tell you what, go to Hanalei town, walk around, spread some business and spread some money into that local economy area itself. But right in between Tahiti Nui and Calypso's, you can go down Aku Road, and as we all know, Pine Trees, the beach is open there at Hanalei. So you can go and enjoy that beautiful beach, Hanalei Bay. It is lifeguarded. Remember to please swim at a lifeguard beach. Like I mentioned a little earlier, the road will be open. I believe it's because of federal law, because we receive federal funding. So the road is open. I'm not going to go out there. I'm not going to recommend that the local people go out there. I'm not going to recommend that the visitors go out there. I'm not going to take myself, my friends, or any visitors out there because I don't think it's ready. Remember, there's really no turnaround point there because the lifeguard tower that used to be at the end of the road is now on the road. So you don't have that big wide turnaround. Number one, facilities aren't open. There's no parking for you to park anywhere out there. And by the way, if you're going to go to the end of the road, many go to the end of the road because they want to go to the trail. Perhaps Hanakapiai Beach, Hanakapiai Falls. Some of you with a permit want to go hike all the way to Kalau. The trails are closed. They're not open. We've already waited a year. Let's just wait a couple of more months. And when it officially opens up, then everything will be safe for not just the residents, the local people, the visitors, but more importantly, those that are still working the safety routes alongside of the road. Please keep in mind, when you're driving, the workers are right on the side of the road. So if we niele or inquisitive and we're looking this way, looking this way, looking this way, we're not looking ahead. And the workers, the men and women, thank you so much, is hard working right on the side. So we don't want to distract that. That's my opinion, my recommendation. Don't go to the end of the road. It is time for us to heli out. As always, let's all continue to take care of our families, our friends, the neighbors of Malahini and Diana, and we'll check you out next week. Only don't go to the end of the road on Vala. Vala out, 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 Vala out.